Saturday morning, everybody woke up refreshed. Not early, not at the Wessex household. They sort of slept in, but not too late because um, uh, Violet and she was anxious to get over to the museum of North what is it North Virginia Museum of Arts and Crafts to go to the studios. She had a really dear friend there who was a curator, and he'd be there. It's Saturday, but he'd be there, and he was really skilled with the arts and crafts, and she knew he she knew he would help her. What she wanted to do was take that piece of silk over there, two pieces of silk, and see what he thought about attempting to use it like a stencil. And now I'm not a good enough artist, well, not that certainly, a craftsman, to explain how it was done, but he did it. Somehow I imagine that he put a piece of paper on a smooth piece of masonite or something and taped taped it on the back to make it tight and had some kind of ink or something to put over it that could rinse. I don't know. I really don't know how he did it. Maybe one of you viewers can tell me how it could have been done. But one way or another, they came back. I say they because Edgy went along. He was curious about how this could be done. When they came back, they had their two pieces of silk looking just fine, cleaned up, and they also had three copies, or not copies, three impressions of each one on paper, white paper, and what they amounted to was a whole mess of black dots. That was it, black dots. But it was something to start with, and most of the afternoon was spent by all three of them actually. They took the smaller piece of silk, or not silk now, paper, and they spread it out, and they started to connect the dots. Edgy asked if Violet had any triangles, clear triangles, architect's triangles, and of course she did. She had kept her father's drafting tools. She had a T-square and three triangles, and well, several more than that. And with very sharp pencils, they started to connect dots, but not just any old dots. They noticed that on the bottom left of the paper, the the dots were very close to each other, and they were kind of in a line. They almost would make a line. Uh, and then as you went to the right, the dots were more spread out, and there seemed to be a line, and then horizontal, and then about 3 inches up, more or less, another line that they made, and then 6 inches up from that first line, which I'll call a baseline, there seemed to be another one. As I say, they spread out as you went to the right. That would be this way from your view. Well, they drew lines, and then they also noticed that there were perpendicular lines from the baseline. That sometimes there'd be one or two dots, and so with the right triangles, they connected them as well. And what they were ending up with was, I don't want to say a whole bunch, but maybe 6 or 8 rectangles. Now, when they got to the longer sheet, some of those rectangles were more than 8 feet, almost more than 8 feet long, and in addition to that, there were clouds of little tiny dots. I say clouds; they weren't spread out. They seemed to be like in little clusters, and now they were smaller and they were closer together. And that was a puzzle too, what to do with them. Now they had to really have sharp pencils, but they started to see if they could connect them. And there, I don't know which one it was. It was probably Edgy. He had a brainstorm. He looked and he realized that those dots, if they were connected, they could be made into Roman numerals. Like a dot, and a dot connected made a V. Well, that would be 5. And a dot, I said, yeah, a dot and a dot over each other, that would be a 1. And a 1, 4, or a 1, 5 would be 4. And it wasn't perfect, but he could make out there could be an X, that would be 10. And he figured out that they were Roman numerals, or he thought. And so that was an eye-opener, but still, what to make of it? A whole bunch of rectangles with tiny Roman numerals. What good was that going to do? But they worked a lot on it, and they didn't do much with the words because Edgy thought, well, Omar was so excited about that. He wanted to let Omar see what his clientele could do with that on Saturday night. So that was pretty much how Saturday was spent. And then in the afternoon, they got ready to head back to the moot point for a Saturday night. We'd see how this one would go. Once again, they drove together.